Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is Christian here. Thank you so much for joining me today. So today we're going to be talking about all of the eyeshadow palettes. So I feel like everybody is releasing new eyeshadow palettes right now. We've got Jaclyn Hill, Jeffree Star, Manny Mu, Urban Decay is coming out with some new stuff. Like, eyeshadow palettes are like taking over right now. So I figured we could spend a couple of minutes, or maybe more than a couple of minutes, talking about my thoughts, my opinions on some of these eyeshadow palettes and whether or not your girl will be purchasing them. So when new makeup comes out, especially because of YouTube, especially because of, you know, just being a makeup junkie, hoarder, all that good stuff, or not so good stuff, I guess technically, you tend to want to try everything. And then there are things that you want to try just because you want to try it. There's things that you want to try just because you want to review it. And then there's things that you're genuinely excited about seeing, like things that get your makeup juices flowing, your creativity flowing, like excitement flowing. I just did a video similar to that, makeup new releases that are totally exciting me, that I will throw somewhere in the cards. This is a little bit different because I'm going to be telling you why I want to purchase the things or why I don't want to purchase the things. So it's like a will I buy it and an anti-haul kind of all mixed in one. So if you are interested in that, then you are definitely in the right place, and you are for sure going to want to go ahead and keep on watching. But before I get into the video, I just want to say that if you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you do not mind, before you head out, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. And yeah, you guys, let's go ahead and get started on some of these palette releases. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the new Jaclyn and Morphe collaboration. If you're not aware, this is their third makeup collaboration because they've done a brush favorites before. They did the Jaclyn Hill favorites, then they did her Jaclyn Hill palette, and now they're coming out with number 3. So there's going to be 4 different palettes that will retail for $15 a piece, or you can buy the entire vault for $49. Each palette comes with 10 shades, so if you buy the entire vault, you're getting 40 shades for essentially 50 bucks. Her 36 pan eyeshadow palette that came out last year, that is now permanent, I want to say it was either $36 or $38, and you got 36 eyeshadows in there. So we have 4 palettes, and this is them right here. You have the Dark Magic, you have the Armed and Gorgeous, you have the Bling Boss, and you have the Ring the Alarm. And they are kind of broken down by color story. So you have like your more yellowy orange, you have your more red, you have your more greens, and then you have like your more purples and burgundies. Let's be honest, whatever Jaclyn Hill comes out with, chances are I'm going to buy it. The only thing of hers that I did not purchase was the original Jaclyn Hill favorites palette because that was just impossible to get. And I don't really buy her brush favorites because it's kind of like, they're just brushes that already exist that you say that you like. So I don't buy those, but when it comes to her makeup releases, I tend to buy them all. I have never been disappointed or let down by a Jaclyn Hill makeup release. I'm actually wearing the Jaclyn Hill palette, the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette on my eyes right now. I definitely will be purchasing that. I definitely think that 40 bucks for 40 eyeshadows is a steal, or $15 for 10 eyeshadows is not bad at all. I mean, the video just came out a couple of days ago at this point, and I know that some people are saying, well, it's so similar to her last eyeshadow palette. Some of the colors are overlapping. And while I do see that, at the end of the day, it's kind of like, I definitely do see some differences. So I will say that the one that kind of strikes me as the most to resemble the palette that she already released is the more warm tone one. That one was the, which one was that? Ring the Alarm? The Ring the Alarm, which is this one right here, and I will have a larger picture somewhere on the screen. I feel like that one kind of vibes a little bit more from her original palette, but even when you look at her Jaclyn Hill favorites palette, like Jaclyn Hill loves eyeshadows like that. Jaclyn Hill loves those types of shades, so what do you expect? She already released a 36 pan eyeshadow palette. How many more eyeshadows do we expect to get, you guys? Like I said, I was impressed. I think it's a really great palette. Well, her original palette with Morphe, it's the same formulation as her original Morphe palette, so I'm definitely putting that on my yes, absolutely, I have to get it. I like her. I like Jaclyn Hill. I know a lot of people are kind of like maybe a little teensy bit over her at this point, but I will say one thing, and again, it could just be, you know, it's the artist. She likes what she likes. This is the front of the packaging right here, but this is totally Becca Jaclyn Hill face palette. I actually have it right here. Where is it? Like, the front of the package is totally giving me Becca Jaclyn Hill collaboration vibes. I don't know if that's just the style she's into or if it's kind of like a haha Becca, I don't need you, but I think it's a little interesting that she chose packaging like that. But I think that even if you only picked up one of the eyeshadow palettes. I definitely think there's something, let me pull it back up again. I definitely think there is a palette in here for everybody, and $15 for 10 shades for the quality that Jaclyn Hill put in the original palette. I definitely think that it's going to be worth it. She added the mirror. I want to say that the packaging is the easier, clean packaging, unlike her original Jaclyn Hill palette. The names are actually on the actual packaging. I have her original packaging though before they revamped it, so I don't have the names, like I don't have things like that. I don't have, like, mine is super dirty, super messy. So I'm super excited. Again, I love her highlighters. I loved this face palette. I just think that she tends to knock it out of the park. That is definitely going in the win column for me. So the next palette that I want to take a couple of minutes talking about is the Life's a Drag by Manny Mu. This guy comes with 14 shades and it's going to retail for 45 bucks. There are 2 shimmers or more metallics, and then the rest of the eyeshadows are matte. You basically get 2 halves of the palette. You get half that's going to be your neutral everyday shades, and then you get half of your, you know, your more colory, vibrant shades. Now, this was originally in the maybe column. The YouTuber in me wants to purchase it, and I will say this because Laura Lee's original eyeshadow palette, the nudie, no, what was it called? The Cat's Pajamas. I was not going to purchase that at regular price, but it recently went on sale, so I decided to go ahead and pick it up. So this is one of those things that maybe if I catch it on a sale, just to kind of settle my own curiosity, I might pick this up. No, I don't think that I would pick this up for the $45. I just honestly, like, I would not use, I mean, I think I would probably use every shade in here except for the blues, and maybe the pink. I probably wouldn't use the pink, but I think that I've heard good things about this palette. A lot of people have reviewed it and given it positive reviews, like YouTubers I trust, because a lot of times when, you know, big YouTubers come out with collaborations, either people are going to dog it for views, or they're going to say good things about it because they're friends or they're in the same industry. But so far, every review I've seen on this has been pretty positive. Now, I was going to get it, and I probably still will, because you guys, I mentioned it in a video maybe 2 or 3 videos ago where I said that I wanted to buy the first palette release of all of the YouTuber owned brands and then kind of like put them head to head, whose is better, did the best job with formulation, packaging, all that kind of stuff. And you guys seem to be kind of into it, so that's the main reason why I want to pick this up. But right now, spending $45 for that, I'm kind of like, do I really want to do it? I mean, I have the Persona palette now. I have, you know, the Nudie Patootie palette now. Who else released a makeup brand and I have their stuff? I have a bunch of stuff from Jeffree Star. I have his first palette. I have Dose of Color's first palette. So I do have everybody's first except for this one. Now, the thing that throws me off about this palette, which is kind of why I've always been on the fence, I feel like, and I understand why he did it, because he wanted to take a chance, he wanted to take a risk. So many people, oh, there's not enough colors in palettes, oh, everybody's only releasing neutral palettes. So Manny said, okay, I got you. Here's some color, but here's also your everyday neutral palette. Now, in my opinion, I feel like aesthetically, when I look at this palette, I feel like it's 2 different palettes. Like, you either have your neutral side, you have your more bold, colorful side. I feel like I wish that for like more aesthetic purposes, he would have found a way to like meld the colors a little bit more, so it's like not, because I feel like your eye just gets drawn to one half of the palette or the other. I feel like you don't necessarily see this palette as a whole. Now, that could just be me. Another thing is, I like the fact that you definitely need more mattes than you do shimmers to create a look. So the fact that there is more mattes in the palette, I definitely think is a good thing. I definitely think that you should have more mattes in any particular palette, because you can't really create a full look with just shimmers. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do, because makeup is subjective, right? Is it subjective or objective? Whatever. But you know what I mean. So I definitely think that you need more mattes, but I would have liked to have seen maybe 10 mattes and 4 shimmers, or I would have liked to have seen maybe 2 pops of color in more of a shimmery metallic shade. I think that that could have brought a little bit more to this particular palette and made it a little bit more fun, a little bit more unique. Again, I mean, you have your everyday transition shades, you have, you know, I feel like the pops of color too, with the exception of I feel like they're wearable pops of colors. The only one that I feel like might not be wearable pops of color would be maybe the pink and the yellow. I honestly feel like depending on how you apply the blues, you could probably even get away with wearing those every day, even under your lash line. Now, the next thing that I'm kind of like about this particular eyeshadow palette is I don't like the packaging. I'm sorry, I don't. I like the packaging of the Unicarton. but I don't like the actual packaging of the palette. Like, I feel like it's just not aesthetically pleasing. Like, I look at this and I'm kind of like, I feel like he was like going for, I get it, the drag vibes, and Huda Beauty plasters her freaking face and her eyes on everything, but I feel like when she does it, it's done a little bit more elegantly, a little bit more, it just looks nicer. This I'm not really feeling, and I don't know if it's because of the makeup look, I'm not entirely sure, but this is the palette that I would look at in my collection and be kind of like, oh my god, that thing. But again, the unicorn is beautiful, so I don't know. I just feel like I'm so iffy on this palette. I'm definitely leaning towards no. I will pick it up at some point just for the aforementioned video that I just talked about. But if I was a regular consumer, somebody who did not make YouTube videos from time to time, somebody who did not talk about music, somebody who did not have a beauty related channel, I would not purchase this. So hopefully that helps. I don't know, maybe. Okay, moving on, shall we? Okay, so for some reason I've been sitting here for like 3 minutes trying to find a picture of this palette opened. So the next palette that I do want to talk about is the Jeffree Star Thirsty palette. It actually releases this week, the week that I'm filming this video, which is June 16th. It's going to retail for $48 and it's going to have 15 different eyeshadows. So 10 of them will be matte, 5 of them will be his new ultra metallic finish that he said that he's never done before in his line. Let me see if I can find an actual picture of this palette. Hold please. Found one. Okay, so this is the picture that I found. Again, 15 different eyeshadows. The center row is going to be all of the more shimmer metallics, and then the outer 2 rows are going to be all mattes. So I know Jeffree Star is one of those controversial topics, controversial people. What I will say about Jeffree Star is the products that I have tried from him, I like. I don't love his highlighters. Sometimes I feel like some of them can be a little bit more on the chunky side, but I like his liquid lipsticks. The Androgyny palette worked really well for me, and the Beauty Killer palette worked really well for me, even though the Beauty Killer was a little bit more on the colorful side, and I don't reach for it very much. I had very high interest in the Blood Sugar palette as well, but it was always in and out of stock. It's probably going to be in stock more easily accessible now because of his new palette launch. But let me pull it back up. I actually kind of want this palette. Some of his other releases, because I was kind of like, oh my gosh, I have to get it right away. I had my alarm set. I was kind of like on my phone at work, hiding in the bathroom, like I gotta get it, I gotta get it. And usually I've had pretty good luck getting his stuff on first launch when I want it to. I think that this palette looks beautiful. I think the swatches that he did on his channel look beautiful. I think that the palette, I think they're, who else? Violet Voss is releasing a palette that has, I feel like, a similar color story to this. And then I have seen some people say that this is very similar to the Manny Mu Life's a Drag palette. I'm not seeing it, with the exception of maybe the blues. I don't see it. It's not there, in my personal opinion. I think that the color story on this palette, while you still have all of your, you know, your everyday standard neutrals like that you need to complete any look, like your warm browns, your more cool tone browns, your more taupey-ish brown, like your more taupey color, like to throw up in your crease. You have those fun summer shades as well, like your pops of blue, the 2 more corally pink shades in here. I think it's beautiful. I like the packaging. I like his stuff. And I know, like I said, it's very controversial. A lot of people like it, a lot of people don't. I know a lot of people don't like his liquid lipsticks. I personally do. I was going to put on one of his liquid lips today. I'm actually wearing Dose of Colors. So his palettes come with mirrors. They have nice pan sizes. There's not too much fallout. They blend pretty easily. And he says that, I want to say that he changed the formulation with the Blood Sugar palette to make it better. I didn't get my hands on the Blood Sugar palette. So I want this palette. I'm really into it. I'm really excited about it. Is it limited edition? That's the only thing I don't know. I'm assuming it probably would be, because it's from his summer collection, unless the palette sells so well that he ends up making it permanent. I'm super into like these metallics. Like, just by looking at them, they look stunning. I feel like this, I'm not gonna lie, this blue right here, what shade is that? I can't really read it. I can't see it. The blue right here that's next to the yellow, I probably wouldn't wear very often, but the more tealy toned blue, the more, the blue that looks a little bit more cool toned, I probably would wear that on my lower lash line a lot more often. I just think it looks good, you guys. Compared to the 2, because like I mentioned, let me pull it up. I feel like, is it Violet Voss? Yes, I feel like Violet Voss's palette has a similar color story. This is the Violet Voss palette right here. Like especially that blue right there. The Violet Voss also has an orange. I feel like, does the Violet Voss have more shades in it? It probably does. It looks like it does. Yeah, the Violet Voss has 20 shades versus 15. I'm not sure how much the Violet Voss is going to retail for. If I see it, I will link it down below. But most of their palettes are between like $40 and $45-ish, so I would assume it would kind of be in that same range. Comparing the two palettes, I would much rather have the Jeffree Star palette, even though you do get more eyeshadows for probably at or around the same price as you do from the Jeffree Star palette. I've tried the Laura Lee Los Angeles palette and I thought it was okay, and I have one other Violet Voss palette that I picked up from Sephora during the VIB sale that I've played with a couple of times. I've heard good things about their palettes. I've heard average things about their palettes. So I don't really have a lot to go on when it comes to their palettes. But if I was going to purchase just one summer palette, like summer themed, summer vibe, like fun coralies, blues, yellows, I feel like it would be the Jeffree Star Cosmetics palette. I'm super excited about it, and I am going to try to get my hands on that one. Now, the next palette that we're going to talk about today, and I'm sorry you guys, we're just kind of doing so many eyeshadow palettes, but eyeshadow palettes and foundations are like my weakness. So, and there's, like I mentioned, there's just so many eyeshadow palettes to talk about. I want to take a second to talk about, I want to talk about maybe 2 or 3 more eyeshadow palettes. Let me pull it up. Now, this palette is a palette that I kind of need you guys' help on. Let me know what you think. Would you like a review on it? Do you think it's worth picking up? Because my instincts are to pick it up and be like, yes, I want it, but I kind of am giving myself like time to really think and kind of, you know, weigh out my options. I look at the pictures, I kind of look at the colors and think if it's something that I actually will use. The palette that I am talking about next is the Urban Decay Born to Run eyeshadow palette. Now this is going to retail for $49 and it's going to have 21 different eyeshadows in there. It's going to be available on June 19th online, and it looks like June 24th in store. Okay, so I know that there are people out there who are very like pro Urban Decay. I like Urban Decay. I feel like when it comes to Urban Decay is one of those brands that I tend to want to just buy things just because they were my first high-end non-MAC purchases, like the Urban Decay Naked palettes, and I have such a nostalgic like place in my heart when it comes to Urban Decay, and I tend to want to purchase things that they come out with. But over time, I've noticed that I've gotten better. Like I didn't purchase their beach collection. Like the last couple of releases that Urban Decay has come out with, I haven't actually purchased because I literally actually had zero interest in picking any of them up. But this palette caught my eye. And I feel like this is one of those palettes that you could wear every single day. Like this is one of those palettes that you could pull this out for an entire month and never think about or want to pick up something else. You have more deep shades at the bottom. You've got your metallics. You've got those bright oranges and burgundies. You've got purples. You've got greens. You've got blues. You've just got everything that you need for like the perfect eyeshadow look. I like Urban Decay eyeshadow formulations. I think that they're pretty good. I don't think I've ever had an Urban Decay palette that I didn't like. I mean, if I thought long and hard about it, I wasn't a fan of the Naked Smoky, and I think that they weren't a fan of the Naked Smoky, because did anybody else notice how the Naked Smoky just has like completely disappeared off the face of the planet? Like it's kind of like they want to pretend like it never happened, but it happened, Urban Decay. I know what happened, okay? So the reason why I kind of want you guys' help on this one and why I'm kind of having this one in the maybe column is because I know I don't need it. I don't need any of the eyeshadow palettes that I'm talking about today, not a one of them. And you know, I've been pretty good about rotating my makeup a little bit more, pulling out old stuff and reaching for stuff that I haven't used in a while. Like I hadn't used the Jaclyn Hill palette probably in a month or two, maybe longer than that, probably more than that. And I pulled it back out and I'm kind of like, okay, it's time to play with it. So I'll play with it for like the next week or two, and then I'll put it away and I'll grab something else, because I had gotten into a rut where I was using like the same 4 eyeshadow palettes over and over and over again. The Dose of Colors, one of the Tarte palettes, the Too Faced, y'all know which Too Faced palette that I love. I can't remember the name right now. It is so hot here in Texas right now. Like my brain is literally melting inside of my head. Okay, not literally, but it's that hot to where it's possible. So, but now I'm kind of like, I've got all of this makeup. I even busted out the Anastasia Mario palette recently, and I started using that guy again because I hadn't touched that in a while. I don't know, I just think it looks really beautiful. I'm so excited that it's not a naked palette, if you want me to be completely honest. It's not it's not a it's something new, basically. I feel like brands recently have been so into just, let's re-release the same thing over and over again. Okay, the chocolate bar palette worked, let's release the chocolate gold, let's release an Urban Decay Naked 5, let's release a Tartelette and Bloom roasted cinnamon twist. You know what I mean? Like it's them coming out with the same stuff, like the same idea, putting new packaging on it, adding a volume 3 to it, and expecting us to get excited. At least this is something different. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So I have interest in it. Let me know what you think down below. This next one is going to pain me to talk about because it went from my I'm so excited, I cannot wait, like I found a new favorite brand for eyeshadows even though she only has one palette, and I was dead set like on getting this palette, and now I'm kind of like, you know what, I actually don't think I want it. And again, I got her last palette with coupons from Ulta and I ended up loving it, so maybe down the line somewhere in the future I might catch it on a sale or with some coupons and sing a different tune. But right now, you guys, I don't want it, and I was so excited about this palette. I live, love, live, breathe for the Dominique Cosmetics Latte palette. Like, I love that palette. That's the other palette that I couldn't think of that I was reaching for all the time. This palette has the exact same layout as her current palette. It has the exact same 10 eyeshadows. Well, not the exact same 10 eyeshadows, but it's a 10 eyeshadow pan palette. It retails for $42, which I think is the same price as her last palette. Her last palette was in the same ballpark. And I believe it has 5 mattes, 5 shimmer metallics, duochrome goodness type situations. Okay, here's the thing with my palette, this particular palette. I think the palette itself is beautiful. I think that the colors in here are pretty wearable for the most part, but I'm not vibing with this palette the way that I hoped I would. Obviously, these kind of shades right in here, I feel like, yes, I would probably use those every day of my life. They're beautiful. I would wear them all the time, but it's a light orange, a dark orange, a brown, like, of course I would wear those every day. And that in itself might be worth it because I do genuinely like her formulation. But I look at the palette and I feel like those darker shades, like, it could just be me, but are they too dark? I don't know, because when I look at this palette, I feel like those shades, these right here, these 3 shades don't go with these other 7. Like, I feel like if I'm wearing this pink, you know, on my lid, and I feel like the shadows in here are soft, like the metallics in here are soft, and I almost feel like the mattes are too deep for those shadows. Now, with that being said, and let me take a step back because I understand that if her mattes were lighter, then this palette would not cater to multiple skin tones. So it makes sense that she would give you some deeper, darker, richer matte, so that way, you know, a more skin tones, more variety of people can wear her particular palette. I just feel like with the other shades that it's been paired with, it doesn't really make sense to me. For the most part, I do think when I look at this palette, I'm kind of like, okay, I see lemonade a little bit. Like, you have, you know, your yellow, you have your more pink lemonade, you've got your strawberry lemonade. So I see it. It's there. Like, visually, I'm kind of like, okay, you did a lemonade-y type palette. But then, like, the 2 blues, like the more green and the more blue, I'm kind of like, where'd those come from? You know what I mean? Like, why are they there? So I'm not as excited and I'm not as thrilled about this palette as I thought I would be. Like, if I cover up these 3 shades, I'm kind of like, you know what? That's different. That's something new. That's something original. That's something we haven't seen that much. I could maybe vibe with it. But then I put those 3 shades back in there and I'm kind of like, I don't know. I probably will end up getting it because I don't know, maybe we'll see this. And again, you guys, I'm saying all of this without having tried any of it. I feel like every brand that I just talked about, I have tried products from that brand. None of these brands are 100% new to me. Let me know. I'm really curious. Let me know what you think. Like, do you understand what I'm kind of saying when I talk about this particular palette? But right now, it's going from the absolutely 100% without a shadow of a doubt, I'm going to buy that. Who do you think you are, thinking that I'm not going to buy that? To no, I'm actually not going to buy it. So, and it hurts my soul. Like, it hurts my soul. I'm so hype right now. It's hot. Whew. Okay. This is just a big fat no. I don't know how nicely to say it. I don't know how to put it in, you know, a nicer way. The Lorac Pro 4 palette. Not gonna do it. Not gonna buy it. I'm one of those people who in the past was like, oh, my collection has to be complete, so I have the 1 through 3, I've got to get the 4. I just feel like they are way too late to the party to release this palette. Now, if they had released this palette like 6 months or a year ago, I probably would have purchased it because I actually do like Lorac Pro, like Pro formulation. I know a lot of people don't. They think that they're too powdery, they kick up too much, and they blend away too easily on the eye. But this is one of the first palettes. It was the Naked palette, and then this was one of the next outside of Urban Decay palettes that I purchased. And I remember, well, not this palette, but the original Pro palette. And I just remember practicing and blending and trying and just, you know, having pretty decent luck with the Lorac formulation. It has the same layout, 16 mattes, no. It has 8 mattes, 8 shimmers, and it's probably going to be between $40 and $45. I don't see a price on there. I just feel like I don't need it. And like I said, the person, like the previous me, the me of a year ago, before I started really taking my time and deciding how much I actually want or need something, the me from a year ago would have been like, yes, I have to buy it, I have to get it, I need it. The me now is looking at this and saying, you don't, you really don't. Every shade in here is probably dupeable. I mean, at this point, we have had the Naked Heat, we've had so many warm tone palettes. The thing that I do like about Lorac is I do think that they give you very balanced palettes. That is one thing that I will say that for the most part they do extremely well. They give you that good balance of matte, good balance and good balances of shimmers versus brow bone highlights versus your deepening shades, your softer shades that you could wear every day. You add a little bit of a black in the outer V and then you can easily take it to night. So I will give them that. They tend to always provide a very balanced, well-rounded palette. Their original palette was the exact same way. Their second palette was a little bit more coolly toned. The third palette, I don't ever use. Like, I think I used it maybe like twice. I don't think I've reached for that thing since it first came out. Now, comparing this one to all of the other Lorac Pros that I have, just by looking at the colors, I still like the original, but I think that this one would be my second favorite. And then of course you have the 2 and the 3. I don't like the 2 and the 3 as much. So while I like it, while I think it's beautiful, I just think that they are too late to the party. It's too little too late. I like their formulation. I think overall they, you know, are pretty consistent when it comes to eyeshadow releases. Tend to be over their more limited edition stuff, but they're like pro stuff I tend to usually really like. And I feel like Lorac is one of those brands that doesn't get enough love, but maybe they don't get enough love is because they always are late to the party. Could that be why? So no, I will be passing on this. I'm not sure when it's coming out, but I'm sure it's going to be sometime soon, because if they wait till after the summer to release this, then they've definitely missed the mark, because this is a warm toned palette and it's a perfect summer release, but I don't need it. So yeah, you guys, those are all of the, I probably could have talked about, there are so many more palettes that I could have talked about, like I'm not even kidding. But I want to film another 2 videos today. I want to get this video edited and uploaded today. Fingers crossed. I didn't post a video last week because I had pre-recorded a haul video that's already edited and ready to upload, but I am so over just bombarding you with haul videos. I probably could film 3 or 4 more haul videos before posting a regular video. So I want to take a couple of opportunities to film some other stuff before we get back into uploading hauls. So that's why there was no video last week. But anyways, you guys, I'm super excited about this video. I'm super excited about what's to come for summer of 2018. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe down below before you head out, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.